In this video, we are going to derive the expression for the capacitance of a three-phase transmission line. To understand the derivation properly, we will start from the very basics. First, we will derive the expression for the potential difference between 2 points located near a charged conductor. Once we have that result, we will use it to derive the capacitance expression step by step. So, let's consider a conductor as shown in the figure. This is the cross-sectional view of the conductor. Let the charge on the conductor be Q coulombs per meter, that is, charge per unit length. Now consider 2 points, P1 and P2, located in the air around the conductor. Let D1 be the distance of point P1 from the center of the conductor, and let D2 be the distance of point P2 from the center. We already know that the electric field intensity at any point located at a distance r from the center of the conductor is given by E of r equals Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r. Here, epsilon naught is the absolute permittivity of air. Now our objective is to find the potential difference between points P1 and P2 due to the charge Q present on the conductor. Since potential difference is obtained by integrating the electric field, we can write V P1 P2 equals minus integration from D2 to D1 of E dr. The negative sign indicates that the potential decreases in the direction of the electric field, or in other words, the potential difference is measured against the electric field. Now, substituting the expression of the electric field, we get Vp1 P2 equals minus integration from D2 to D1 of Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r dr. Since Q, 2 pi and epsilon naught are constants, we can take them outside the integral. Therefore, we can write Vp1 P2 equals minus Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught multiplied by integration from D2 to D1 of dr by r. Now, the integration of 1 by r is the natural logarithm of r. Therefore, we obtain Vp1 P2 equals minus Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught multiplied by natural logarithm of r with limits D2 to D1. Applying the limits, we get Vp1 P2 equals minus Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught multiplied by natural logarithm of D1 divided by D2. Finally, using the logarithmic property that minus natural log of x is equal to natural log of 1 by x, we can write Vp1 P2 equals Q divided by 2 pi epsilon naught multiplied by natural logarithm of D2 divided by D1. So this is the general expression for the potential difference between 2 points located at distances D1 and D2 from a charged conductor carrying a charge of Q coulombs per meter. This result is very important because we will use it repeatedly while deriving the capacitance of a three-phase transmission line in the next steps. Up to this point, I hope the derivation is clear. Now let's move on to the capacitance derivation of the three-phase transmission line.
Now, let us take 3 arbitrary positions. Position 1, Position 2 and Position 3. Now, place conductor A at position 1, conductor B at position 2 and conductor C at position 3. The charge per unit length for conductor A is Q sub A, that for conductor B is Q sub B, and the charge per unit length for conductor C is Q sub C. Now, the distance between positions 1 and 2 can be considered as D12. We can also write the distance from position 2 to position 1 as D21. In the same way, the distance between positions 2 and 3 can be written as either D23 or D32. Similarly, the distance between positions 3 and 1 can be written as either D31 or D13.
Now, we have to understand one thing. First, we will calculate the voltage difference or potential difference, or simply the voltage developed between positions 1 and 2. Now, since there are 3 conductors, we will consider each conductor one by one. We will calculate the voltage appearing across positions 1 and 2 due to one conductor at a time. Then, we will add all these 3 voltages that appear across positions 1 and 2 due to the 3 conductors individually. By doing that, we will get the resultant voltage that appears when all 3 conductors are present simultaneously at positions 1, 2 and 3. For that, first we shall consider a system where there is only a single conductor, say conductor C, at position 3, and there are no conductors at positions 1 and 2. In that case, what will be the voltage appearing across positions 1 and 2? That will be nothing but V underscore 1, 2. Within brackets, we can write C because we are calculating this voltage due to conductor C alone carrying a charge Q sub C. Obviously, that will be Q sub C divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into the natural logarithm of D sub 32 divided by D sub 31. Now, let us consider the second case, where only conductor A exists at position 1 and we remove conductor C from the system. Then, we will calculate the voltage appearing across positions 1 and 2. That will be nothing but V sub 1, 2 within brackets A because this voltage is appearing across positions 1 and 2 due to conductor A alone. That will be equal to minus the integration from D12 to RA of QA divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 R into dr. Here, we have considered that the charge is uniformly distributed over the surface of conductor A. Therefore, the effective distance is measured from the surface of conductor A up to position 2. That is why we have written this equation. And this becomes V sub 1 2 A equals Q sub A divided by 2 pi epsilon sub 0 into the natural logarithm of D sub 1 2 divided by R sub A. Similarly, now let us consider the third case, where only conductor B exists in the system and we have removed conductor A. Now, we will calculate the potential difference or voltage appearing between positions 1 and 2. That will obviously be V sub 1 2 B equals minus Q sub B divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into the integration from R sub B to D sub 2 1 of dr divided by R. And ultimately, this becomes V sub 1 2 B equals Q sub B divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into the natural logarithm of R sub B divided by D sub 2 1. Therefore, if we now consider all three conductors present in the system at positions 1, 2 and 3 respectively, then the voltage appearing across positions 1 and 2 will simply be the summation of the voltages produced by the individual conductors. So, we can write V12 equals QA divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 into the natural logarithm of D1 2 divided by RA plus QB divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 into the natural logarithm of RB divided by D2 1 plus QC divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 into the natural logarithm of D32 by D31. Now, if we take the common factor of 1 divided by 2 pi epsilon 0, we get V12 equals 1 divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 within brackets Q sub A into the natural logarithm of D sub 1 2 divided by R sub A plus Q sub B into the natural logarithm of R sub B divided by D sub 2 1 plus Q sub C into the natural logarithm of D32 divided by D31. So, this is the expression for the voltage appearing across positions 1 and 2 when all three conductors are present in the system at their respective positions. Now, we also consider that the transmission line is a transposed transmission line. That means, after an equal interval along the length of the transmission line, conductor C is placed at position 1, conductor A is placed at position 2, and conductor B is placed at position 3, as shown in the figure. Therefore, the voltage difference appearing across conductors A and B, that is, between positions 2 and 3, will be V23, and it is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by within brackets QA multiplied by the natural logarithm of D23 divided by RA plus QB multiplied by the natural logarithm of RB divided by D32 plus QC multiplied by the natural logarithm of D13 divided by D12. In the same way, after another equal interval, the transmission line is transposed again. At this point of transposition, conductor A occupies position 3, conductor B occupies position 1 and conductor C occupies position 2. Now, the voltage difference between conductors A and B will be nothing but the voltage appearing across positions 3 and 1. And that voltage can be written as V31 equals 1 divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by within brackets QA multiplied by the natural logarithm of D31 divided by RA plus QB multiplied by the natural logarithm of RB divided by D13 plus QC multiplied by the natural logarithm of D21 divided by D23. Now, we will consider the average voltage appearing across conductors A and B. That is, VAB equals V12 plus V23 plus V31 divided by 3. Substituting our calculated voltages into this expression, we get
this expression, although this expression is a little bit longer.
This can be simplified as VAB equals 1 divided by 6 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by within brackets this complete expression. Now, using the logarithmic identity that natural logarithm of A plus natural logarithm of B plus natural logarithm of C is equal to the natural logarithm of A into B into C, we can write VAB equals 1 divided by 6 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by within brackets QA multiplied by the natural logarithm of D12 into D23 into D31 divided by RA whole cube plus QB multiplied by the natural logarithm of RB whole cube divided by D21 into D32 into D13 plus QC into natural logarithm of D32D 13D21 by D31 D12 D23. Again, we know that D12 equals D21, D32 equals D23 and D13 equals D31 as we have already discussed. Therefore, the QC term becomes QC multiplied by the natural logarithm of D23 into D31 into D12 divided by D31 into D12 into D23 is 0. The entire QC term becomes 0 and vanishes from the expression. Therefore, the final expression becomes VAB equals 1 divided by 6 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by within brackets QA multiplied by the natural logarithm of D12 into D23 into D31 divided by RA whole cube plus QB multiplied by the natural logarithm of RB whole cube divided by D12 into D23 into D31. Now, if all the conductors have the same radius, that is, RA equals RB equals R, then we can write VAB equals QA minus QB divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by the natural logarithm of cube root of D12 into D23 into D31 divided by R. Now, if we define dm as the geometric mean distance or GMD, then dm is equal to the cube root of D12 into D23 into D31. Therefore, the final expression becomes VAB equals QA minus QB divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by the natural logarithm of dm divided by R. Finally, for a symmetrical three-phase transmission line, D12 equals D23 equals D31 equals D. Therefore, dm is equal to the cube root of d into d, which is nothing but the cube root of d cubed, and therefore, dm is equal to d.
Although charge is not a vector quantity, if we consider the balanced currents of a balanced three-phase system, then at any particular instant, the charges can also be represented as vectors, just like current phasors. Therefore, we can write QA equals Q, QB equals Q angle minus 120 degrees, and QC equals Q angle plus 120 degrees. From this phasor representation, if we analyze the geometry, we find that QA minus QB equals root 3 times Q. So, we can use this result in place of QA minus QB. Hence, we can write VAB equals QA minus QB divided by 2 pi epsilon 0
multiplied by the natural logarithm of d by r. Substituting qa minus qb equals root 3q, we get VAB equals root 3q divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by the natural logarithm of d by r. Now, this is the line-to-line voltage. Therefore, the phase voltage, that is the line-to-neutral voltage, is equal to VAB divided by root 3. So, we can finally write V phase equals Q divided by 2 pi epsilon 0 multiplied by the natural logarithm of d by r. Now we know that the capacitance is given by C equals Q divided by V phase. Substituting the value of the phase voltage, we finally obtain C equals 2 pi epsilon 0 divided by the natural logarithm of d by r farads per meter. And this is the expression for the capacitance per phase of a balanced three-phase transmission line with equilateral spacing. I hope you got the idea. If you really enjoyed this video and learned something from it, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support inspires us to create more such educational videos for you. Thank you for watching.